Volke noch einmal in einen Weltkrieg zu stürzen, dann wird das Ergebnis nicht das Licht des Judentums sein, sondern die Vernichtung der jüdischen Rasse in Europa.
על הקמת מדינה יהודית בארץ ישראל היא מדינת ישראל.
The resolution of the Dutch Committee for Palestine was adopted by 33 votes, 13 against, 10 abstentions.
En lisant dans le Vieux Testament, dans l'Ancien Testament, nous découvrons des coutumes et des traditions du peuple juif, du peuple d'Abraham, qui sont identiques et qui sont les mêmes parmi notre peuple aussi. Alors nous croyons que nous avons beaucoup de commun avec ce peuple de Dieu qu'on appelle le peuple israélite.
Notre peuple et le peuple juif ont toujours eu une route parallèle, mais qui allait toujours dans la même direction.
Who are the flourishers and where are they coming from? Now, when I say flourishers, I am talking about people who not only understand that the earth is flat, but also invest everything they have and everything they are into defending and spreading that truth, and into defending and spreading truth in general, while being ready to accept it as it reveals itself. Because flourishers, it's a nature. It's about being mature. It's about fighting evil and all the lies it spreads wherever they are. Now, defending and spreading the truth is a tradition in Israel. It is something that our ancestors used to do, and something that we accepted to carry on as our primary mission in life. Even our Torah is called Torah Emet in Hebrew, which means Torah of truth. Or more like science of truth, because some people are going to tell you that Torah means law, but it actually means science, and the science is full of laws anyways. And now even God's name is truth. Emet in Hebrew, which is truth, is also one of God's names. So when I see all these non-Jews, all these people, fighting hard for the truth and doing what we Jews are supposed to do. So I'm saying to myself that something here is not normal. Something huge is going on. So that brought me to think that all these people from all these different races, all these different religious beliefs, who fight hard for the truth. All these goyim, as we call them in Israel, goy means a nation. Even Israel is called the goy in the Torah many times. So all these nations fighting for the truth had to be mentioned in the Torah, and maybe even might have a common origin. So this is what I wanted to check, because in the beginning, after the flood, mankind was regenerated. And after the flood, mankind started with 70 nations. Now, most of these nations mingled, mixed up together, or were, assimilated, purposely assimilated. And then they were reorganized through wars, through new territories, through new religious beliefs. And it's impossible today to really identify these nations, to the flesh or to the blood or to what they look like. But it is possible through their very spirit, because the blood can be mingled, but never the spirit. Now, there is actually a people which is barely mentioned in the Torah, but whose characteristics, whose nature, whose spirit matches that of all these nations who are fighting hard for the truth. And I believe that these particular people might very well be at the origins of what we call today the flat earthers. Now, before to go on with that particular people, there is something important you have to know about Abraham. Because what most people believe about Abraham is that he was very hospitable. He was giving food to the hungry ones. He was receiving people at his table, and he was helping out people. But there is another angle to that truth, which is more important, is that actually Abraham was explaining deeply the truth to people. He was actually fighting with people to explain them what's true. He was fighting lies, and he was totally dedicated to this. Even the anagram of the name Abraham is Hameva'er, which means the one who explains deeply. So this is important to know, because in the Jewish tradition, we know that at one point, Abraham and Sarah did not have any kids. And when they were in that place called Haran, which is supposed to be somewhere in Lebanon, northern Lebanon, they used to convert people that did not belong to their family. That means people from the nations, what we call goyim. So they used to convert them. And they had like followers, a big group of followers. And this group of followers is actually mentioned in the Torah when Abraham and Sarah and Lot came into Egypt, because it is written that they came into Egypt, them and all these people that they made in Haran, which are all these converts. However, when they leave Egypt, these people are not mentioned anymore. And what we deduct out of this is that they failed. They failed in their beliefs, in their faith in God. They saw Egypt, they saw the beauty of Egypt, and they decided to stay there. However, 3 months later, there was a big war. And in that war, Abraham took 318 of his followers, or more his students, and went to war with them. And he fought and he won and he defeated Nimrod, which was called at that point Amraphel, and he retrieved all the goods that were stolen, and his half-brother, which is Lot, and that's the story. But then we see that there is like some 318 people that are, actually following Abraham still at that point. That means that made it out of Egypt. They are not mentioned here, but they are mentioned there. So what I wanted to tell you is these particular people that were not Jews, or that did not belong to the people of Israel, did not belong to the dynasty of Abraham, anyways, were students of Abraham. And despite the fact that they were not from his, from his blood, from his flesh, they accepted everything he said, and yet they were following him all the way. You understand? So that's very important. Now, the best part is this. You're going to like this. When the people of Israel left Egypt, it is clearly written twice that the people of Israel left Egypt after 30 years and 400 years, which means after 430 years. And it is mentioned twice. So now if we think about it, the name of Israel did not appear in the Torah, before like 200 years before the exit of Egypt. So here, something is telling us here that, wait, all the people of Israel left Egypt after 430 years. But again, 130 years before that, Israel did not exist. Israel were not mentioned. So when we investigate in the Torah, we understand that Abraham came into Egypt at the age of 70 years old. And when we do calculate the times, we know that from the birth of Isaac, 400 years, went through, and that 30 years before that actually is when Abraham was 70 years old, and when he entered Egypt at 70 years old with all these people. So that means that the Torah is calling these people, the only people that came into Egypt with Abraham, is calling them also Israel. That means that at one point, these people do represent the first sparks of consciousness of monotheism, the first sparks of consciousness of God, and who accepted it. And these people are the very, very origins of Israel. But somehow, down the line, they didn't make it through, or they couldn't make it through, or they failed somehow. And then the grandson of Abraham, which is called Jacob, did everything what Abraham did, in his time. He went back to that same place, and this time he didn't convert, Goim, but he created his own people, his own family, with 2 wives and their 2 servants. So this is to tell you again that there is a people that was a people of converts, of non-Jews, that did stick with Abraham, did believe in him, way before that the people of Israel came up. And these particular people, of course, were students of Abraham, so then of course they learn how to defend and spread the truth. And this is the only people like this that is mentioned in the Torah. And I personally believe that it makes sense that all these people that we see today, all these nations that are not from Israel, but that do fight for the truth, have to come from these particular people. So that's it. That's the message I wanted to tell you, and to let you know that you guys are much more important than you might believe, and that of course, as you know now, this is not about the shape of the earth. This is about the last battle of a very big war that started long ago.